The most important room in Queensland. We're doing an architectural deep dive into the cultural centre in Brisbane, trying to answer the question, where does modernism stop and brutalism begin? And as always, we'll try and answer, why is this considered good design?
The first thing you have to grapple with is the scale of this precinct. It is low-key like the scale of a small suburb. Was and is the most extraordinary commission, demonstrated a complete faith in what the city was going to become. It took itself very seriously as an absolutely world-class institution for art and culture. Turns out brutalism is an offshoot of modernism, which I actually didn't even know until I started researching this video. I knew they had similar themes, but I didn't realize they were that related. We've covered off the reasons that modernism started in the first place in other videos, but like need to know only basis. It had its genesis in the urgent need for mass housing after World War II. This resulted in new construction methods that were easily replicable at scale, which meant moving away from ornamentation and focusing on function. Concrete definitely links the two movements, but brutalism's use of raw materiality moves beyond just function. It has a sort of excessiveness to it. It kind of exaggerated that offshoot of raw materiality that marked modernism and exaggerated it until it was fortress-like, often appearing heavy. This building went, nah, I want everything to be the same material. And what that does as a viewer means you instantly recognize the scale of this precinct as an all-in-one thing. Definitely fits in the brutalism camp. I think a lot of people don't like that, and I totally understand. There is something just about the boldness and the vision and the scale that this building operates on that kind of has to be respected. It's very un-Australian, very un-Queensland. But what this fortress-like building is hiding is something much more important. What it's hiding from you is a surprising and overtly generous amount of space given over to the public for free. The building is wrapped in these deeply shaded concrete malls. If you saw my other videos, this is the Whale Mall. And they're an amazing place for young children to be able to run around, shriek and scream and not break anything. It's big. In fact, it's completely oversized, and that's why it works. It's big enough for a city full of families. Now, moving on to my favourite room, maybe in Australia, definitely the most important room in Brisbane, if not Queensland. Let's talk about the Water Mall. You've all heard me talk about how architecture is that bit of magic that happens beyond the functional use of the building. It's the designer's creativity that finds something a little bit extra. I'm going to have a link to this article in the caption because I could not have written it better myself. The Water Mall, for example, is an odd double-volume gallery room and an extra large corridor. It has natural light from tilted concrete fins. I'm going to skip to the next bit. But spatially, it is an open foyer. One does not have to pay to visit. Surrounded by gallery rooms. It is accessible from each end of the building, above and below, and one can walk through it on the way elsewhere without visiting an exhibition. While a grand space, this lack of prescription allows for a certain civicness. The special room in the building is free. So this space, this free, unprogrammed space, has given the city a place to invite international artists and host weddings and politicians and parties. It lets people access art without having to pay for it. And I feel like our design literacy has let us down a little as a city because this idea of unprogrammed space with it's got 6 water features sort of along this axis would probably never be in a functional brief. Who would give up that amount of space for effectively the world's most beautiful corridor? But it is a room that took itself so seriously and Brisbane so seriously, it gave it the foundation of its art and cultural precinct. This is architecture, baby, and the skill of the designer. It harnesses light, water, scale, sound, views, beauty. It blurs public from private by making it free, and it gives the city a room where kind of anything could go down. I've focused a lot on the gallery because I know it the best, but the museum and the Performing Arts Centre are part of this brilliant precinct, and both of them deserve equal attention and weight. But as we wrap this video, there are 2 points to consider with the gift of hindsight. Number 1, concrete is a very carbon-heavy material. In this day and age, this building would probably be a no-go. The sheer volume of material is extraordinary. One might even call it wasteful. However, in Brisbane's subtropical context, where the river floods and rainstorms come through, building a fortress-like building as a public institution might not be such a bad call. And the second thing to consider, while it sits parallel to the river, it kind of weirdly has no interaction with it. You don't get a view to this river. You can't sit in a cafe and look at the river. And I think if this building was done in this day and age, that would be pretty different. If you want to learn more about this building, but you don't know where to start, so that's why you should always give brutalism a chance. And that's why this room is the most important room in Queensland. Hope you enjoyed this vid. Go and save it and add it to your list of buildings to go and see in Brisbane, and enjoy the amazing art and architecture